the breathing is just getting very messy. So you're getting out of breath really fast. So the intensity is going naturally down. The body is very smart of doing that and will not let you go, past certain levels. So that's why it's important, to not take the training too seriously, because if there's any risk, you might not gonna know in those first few days, weeks. So that's why you need to, I would encourage girls to be a little bit more careful.
Hello and welcome. We have Asha here today with us, and also one extra member in Asha's belly. We still don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but we'll find out soon in a couple of days or weeks, correct?
12 days.
12 days. It's a target time, yeah?
Yes,
that's a time cap, yeah? 12 days, 12 more days. Asha is a coach and my very good friend. And she's pregnant now, and she went through a lot through whole experience. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The whole prep, changes in the body, changes in the mind, and everything related and most likely unrelated to this amazing journey you are at. So,
Bring it on.
Bring it on. Asha, I would start from absolute beginning. I want to ask first, have you been planning a baby? And if so, how long have you been preparing for it and what you were doing to prepare for it?
It's a planned baby.
Okay.
Our parents can sleep well with this information. No, just joking. Yes, planned baby. It's been, I think, over 3 years since me and my husband, Pavel, decided to have one. And since there, I went through the major, I think, identity change and
okay.
Yeah, and body changes were involved as well. I'm not you, Azil. You don't know me from the past. You, Paolo, a little bit maybe, but
I met you roughly 3 years ago. So
yeah, so I was still, very lean girl. And having different mindset and just different approach to everything, basically.
You mean now, you were focused on your six-pack a lot? Or
you mean this one pack? I'm very focused on my one pack, for sure.
Yes.
No, I don't want to say I was, very focused on my six-pack, because I still see it as a result of the actions I was taking. But being such a lean girl with this kind of physique, it ties into your identity, right?
Okay.
And this is how people see you. This is how you feel yourself. It's like, oh, I'm this lean girl, 365 days per year for 5 years of my life.
And I have to add, not only lean, but also very strong.
Thank you.
At the same time.
I'll take that. So I'm sure at some point, I was focused to not lose it, because you know how it is. It's like, oh, if I'm going to lose this thing, who I'm going to be. And it's not even about who I'm going to be in people's eyes. It's about who I'm going to be in my own eyes. It's having, your own body not changing for such a long time. You start getting, I would say, tied into it. So, yeah.
So what you're trying to say, what you're saying right now is that actually getting pregnant was hard because you were very focused on the physique you were comfortable with for such a long time.
I would say that I just didn't see a problem with being, that lean.
Through the pregnancy?
No, not through the pregnancy, okay. Before the pregnancy. I was like, no, I'm not getting sick. I'm all good, sleeping pretty okay-ish. I mean, this is what I thought at that time.
Okay, and reality wasn't there?
No, reality wasn't there. Reality was pretty awful. And I think that's why I was getting also upset when people were complimenting me. It's like, oh, you got like, perfect body. You look so amazing and everything. I wish to like look like you. But no one asked me. It's like, oh, I wish to feel like you, because no one asked me, how do you feel? It was all about, the physique, which is really hard, because what you gonna say? Oh, like most of the time, actually, I don't feel that well. I mean, I've been performing amazingly, right? But
okay, so it wasn't the right answer. Like, thank you for all the compliments on my body, but I feel like shit. Yeah.
May I ask, what was the reason for not having a good sleep or the lack of sleep?
I was very highly anxious person and really, high on the sympathetic nervous system. So I was very, like hyper all the time. So for me to calm down and get to sleep, it was really hard.
Okay. Oh, to that extent.
Yes.
Are you talking about how many hours?
I think at that time, because I was training at 6 a.m., I was getting with a job in retail, still making sure around...
Oh, you worked at retail?
I used to work.
I worked at retail for 3.5 years. I know the struggle.
I was still, trying to get 7 hours of sleep. So it's not like it wasn't like terrible.
The quality, right?
The quality was just not there. I was, very snappy. So I was waking up like nonstop because of like some, or the noises around me.
Of course.
Or the worst thing was when I was waking up, my brain was start kicking in, because as I said, I was a very highly anxious person. So you're like keep analyzing, you're keep, thinking like about the future and like what you're gonna do, what are the tasks to do, and like how I'm gonna do this and that. So it just keeps you awake all the time.
Yeah. I understand.
So, no fun. And
then?
And then, I then realized that I'm living pretty strict lifestyle and I don't sleep well. I think my brain honestly was killing me because it was going nonstop. And not having a silence in your head, it's a real struggle. I don't know if you guys experience any of this.
Do you want to call it silence or peace?
Both.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Both. Because my brain like really speaks loud.
So there's like this background buzz all the time.
all the time.
Never calm.
No. And I think it just stopped maybe like a year ago or something. So it took a lot of work, a lot of self-work, like to just to quiet
what was the work? What did you do?
I just let some of the things go.
Oh, simple as that. Okay.
No, it's not the same. It sounds simple. And I stopped giving a shit about the things I should not give a shit about.
Was the physique one part of it?
Oh, that's for sure. Like being very strict for the nutrition, being very strict with the training, and like I wasn't even at the high level of, like athlete or any of that. I mean, of course, in my head was like, yeah, you're doing a good job.
Okay, so you're beating yourself for
almost nothing.
Not to say nothing, but
yeah, but pretty much, yes. I'm super open about it. That like all the sacrifices I made, they were not worth it at all.
But you've managed to achieve, so.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I was performing really well. Okay. Really well.
So now you know, if you decided one day to come back, you know that you're capable.
Yeah, but I don't want to go back.
Okay, so you're capable physically, but maybe not willing.
No, I'm not. I'm just not willing. I'm not the same person, so that's why. Like, it's literally zero interest of me going back to what I've been doing. So, I think
the peace of mind is more important.
The peace of mind for me is now more important. And as I said, I was not high-level athlete and still, prioritizing training over my relationship. Yeah, over everything else. That was the most important thing, which, I mean, it's, it's cool to be strong and skillful and everything. But I think life is just a little bit more than that if competing, it's not your job. I was not getting money for that or anything. Like my life was not dependent on that. So I think I went too far.
Okay.
3 years ago,
Yes.
you guys decided you want a baby,
Yes.
and it wasn't working. Or was it working? Or what was going on?
No, it wasn't working. I'm suffering for, how you call it, amenorrhea, the lack of period.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's usually also tied with high performance because of the low fat percentage.
With the low of the fat percentage and the hormonal issues. And plus I was on the birth control pills for 10 years, which is,
Oh, wow.
another story. And my doctor never explained me what is a pill, what does to your body. And once I found out, I just, educated myself. I literally cry for days.
There's this chart, and I can tighten it to this episode on the Instagram. I'll put the chart on. It's the levels of hormones over a month for ladies on normal, ideal period regime, if we can call it that. And then under that, there is a chart of how the hormonal spectrum looks through a month if they are on the pills. And if they're on the, or doesn't need to be pills, right? Because they're the plasters.
Yeah, it can be plaster.
Basically, any birth control, right?
Yeah, the hormonal birth control.
Birth control. That's a very different chart. It's like one is like, fluctuation, estrogen, progesterone, everything is going up and down based on if it's pre-ovulation, ovulation, so on. And the other one is just like every day, little spike, down, all of them. It's like you want your heart rate to look like on the other one, So the difference is massive.
It's massive. Yeah, it's massive. It's, they say now that the birth control pill, it's like a mild antidepressant pill. Because it keeps you stable, it keeps your hormones pretty stable, so you don't experience those ups and downs.
It keeps them way too stable.
It's way too stable. So once you get off of it, oh my God, you're just going mad. I was so aggressive. Yeah. I mean, I've been always on that little bit more aggressive side of the things, which, I'm not going to hide. But no, to the extent, I just like, what is this behavior? I'm literally like, my husband called me a pit bull.
It's good that you absorbed that behavior that you were.
Yeah. I mean,
so even you were surprised, yeah?
Yeah. Wow. And yeah, so, like combination of those two. So not having a period. So of course, no ovulation plus 10 years on the pills equals no ovulation because you don't ovulate on the pill.
What was your fat percentage at this point?
The lowest one, I think, was 8.
Oh, wow. Because, I mean...
There's nothing wow about it.
for some people,
yeah. That's... On one side, that's pretty impressive, right? Because that's where ladies are trying to get for a bikini competition.
Yeah.
What they call it, bikini fitness
podium,
right? But usually in literature, and this is also, I don't want to be bonded to the numbers too much, but below 12, ladies are losing period. And they are, in that moment, basically not capable of conceiving a child because body does not see it feasible for a baby to go into such an environment because there is a risk that it's not going to go well because ladies are thrown off and they need that fat to go through the pregnancy.
Body is very smart.
Yes.
So.
And you learned it the tough way, yeah?
I learned it in a tough way.
How long did it take you to get out of that zone that you got into after stopping the pills? Do you remember?
I don't really, remember.
Was it months?
Years? I would say it would be around a year.
Okay.
Around a year, to start gaining the weight back, to start feeling a little bit of the changes through the months.
Out, basically, so.
Yeah. But I went through the many, like doctors here in Dubai, but till now, like no one helped me, like no one knew what's wrong.
So you did it yourself?
So yeah, I did.
More or less. Yeah.
More or less, I did it myself because we are trying like more natural way, like consuming the foods rich in hormones, and we did it artificial way. So
You
like,
tried it as well?
Yes.
And it didn't work?
It didn't really work on me. So, and everyone was saying everything is fine with you. I'm like, I don't have my period for 3 years. I'm like, please don't say that. Yeah.
Oh, so 2 questions now.
Yes.
What kind of artificial way it was?
Just getting hormone up, but not birth control pills. So just taking progesterone and estrogen.
Oh, on top of your hormones. Okay,
Yes.
so it wasn't like the fertilization outside of the uterus and...
No, so the thing is, my body was not producing enough of the hormones. That's the one thing. And my ovaries were not, releasing the egg, so there was no actual ovulation.
Okay.
There was no other issues with like insulin, because they tried everything. They check, like the brain and everything, and they said everything looks perfectly. It's just, like the ovaries are not speaking to the brain, and just nothing is happening.
Can we talk about the diet difference? You said you were pretty strict on diet before for that competition performance, whatever that was, and then you were trying to also be pretty strict on the diet with a little bit different goal. So
Yes.
what was it before, and what was it in that
Before
process?
Before I was pretty high on the carbs. I would say moderate levels of protein and not too high fats. So that was for performance.
If I may, just to interrupt this. No shit, you are in sympathetic too much, right?
All the carbs.
So yeah, all the carbs.
All the
going
carbs.
for it.
Yes. One nutritionist, I'm not gonna say his name out loud, put me on 3,000 calories mostly of the carbs, and man, that was miserable.
3,000 calories
a day? Wow.
That's actually a very valid question.
And I was
I
not
was like, you
gaining.
can spread it on a week.
I was not gaining any of the fat. I was just building muscles, and he was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know. You're a
This is the
professional."
point. Everybody's different. You can't
Yeah,
just
you
throw
can't.
something. 3,000 calories purely from carbs. No kidding. I have that in month.
That's almost
Like what?
Yeah, I tried. I
Okay.
tried. But no, what helped me was actually the strong fit protocol. I know you are familiar with that.
Can you do a short?
Yeah,
short, brief intro
yeah,
into-
so it's more about auto-regulation, what works for you, following very simple principles like eat for whatever it's coming, not for what happened. Means if you're about to have training or any other physical activity, you can fuel yourself with the carbs. If you are for getting ready for the bed, so rest and recovery, so you support it with the protein, and the fats are more on the neutral side. And of course you still need to place like how much it's gonna work for you, so on how much fats you can stay still pretty sharp, not feeling bloated or like feeling a little bit foggy,
And not combining protein and carbs
together. Yes,
to improve the digestion.
to improve the digestion, and everything is also based on your state of the nervous system. So as I said, it took some time to actually understand how your body works, where is your baseline in terms of your nervous system, because as we know, some people are more let's say active. Some people are just more chilled,
Yeah,
right?
just where you are in that, let's say, arousal level.
Yes, and
Where's
where
your baseline?
and where do you want to be, and where you should be. I mean, there's nothing like should, but like if you're doing, for example, a coaching job, like I would not want to have a coach which is half asleep, right? But at the same time, if you're just sitting behind the desk, you don't want to be like too hyper, right? You want to be able to focus. So it also like your job and overall your lifestyle, whatever you want to do, it matters in that. So nutrition will be based on that. And because I love to be active, but at the same time, I'm just too active. We need to balance that. So we need to understand where I am, where I want to be, and where I'm supposed to be for getting pregnant.
Okay. And all of this you are basically just figuring out as you went.
Yeah.
Mostly yourself?
Mostly yes, and of course Julian from Strong Fit. So it's mostly just trying, failing, just learning from it what works, what doesn't.
Because you have this from like straight on point experience. When you were trying to figure out does this work, how long you needed to implement certain regime for it to like show up, if it works, if it's good, if it's bad. Like, did you need to stick to it for 2 months, or did you need to like just do it for a couple of days and then you already felt the difference?
I think it depends on the thing. So like the overall protocol, it took, it's been 3 years, right? And I think now I pretty figure out for myself, but over years it was changing, right? Some of the things, like shifting from eating protein with every single meal to having a protein only before going to bed, in the evening time. It took few good weeks, I would say months, like 2-3 months to actually, adapt to it and start feeling really good and like seeing the changes in terms of my racing thoughts and just quality of the sleep.
So the overall process would be have certain logical or theoretical knowledge of certain approach you want to try, and then stick to it.
And stick to it for some time, definitely for a month, for sure.
So don't just like try, and if it doesn't work after a couple of days, dismiss and...
No, it's, like people are not patient. It's like, it doesn't work. I'm like, just try.
I know, I just need somebody to say it aloud.
You gotta be patient, and you need to really observe yourself, your behavior, your sleeping, your even like thought patterns. It's really interesting. It's like what is your voice telling you? Is it more on the positive side, more on the negative side?
Why are you stopping certain things to do? Why are you starting certain
your brain is gonna question you for sure. It's like, why are you doing that? Why are not we having carbs right now? They're so cool and so
and that voice
tasty.
Is an evil.
And like, shut
it is an
fuck
evil.
up.
This is actually very interesting that you have it also in a training. You have it in approach to food or experience with food. You have it in the ice bath. Anytime, sauna, whatever it is, anytime you impose certain discomfort, there are 5 things that kind of can happen as a reaction, right? That's the stages of learning. Boredom.
Correct.
Boredom, frustration, anxiety, and then anger, either on others or on yourself. Right? And that's always, each of these, when you think about it, each of these is just your body asking, is this what we are doing right now really worth of the energy we are putting in? That's why, when I say in the ice bath, I'm always bored.
I remember
it's not like, it's so cool. It doesn't do anything to you. Like, no, it's not cool. I'm sitting there and I'm questioning why I'm there, but not because of pain or anything. I'm just bored. That doesn't mean it's good.
I was with him and he was just talking to me, listening to his music, and I'm like, is this guy even feeling it? I don't know.
Yeah.
What is it? But he's just boom.
I think, we all have different triggers. Like, for
course,
example,
yes.
me, the ice bath, it gave me panic attack last time.
Anxiety.
What do you mean? What do you mean last time? So you didn't?
I did it once, and
Okay.
after that, sorry,
that
last
one
time.
How long did you stay?
Oh, don't ask me. I don't know.
Okay.
For me, it was, just getting in was a big deal. So I was happy with
I
that.
got the courage because, first of all, we had an episode where we spoke about it.
Yeah.
And then I was with Paulo. So he took me through the steps. I watched him doing it. And I just got in. And I was like, can you please let me know when it's 2 minutes? He was like, you've over 2 minutes already. I'm like, oh, really? I didn't feel it. And then after 3 minutes, I just felt some pain in my elbows.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any anxiety, thank God, no anger. I had just a memory of something I went through. And I kept telling myself, I managed to kick that. I can kick this. So that was the only thing that came into my head. Everything else was trying to understand the situation I'm in. But I think
just
that
shows,
anxiety.
everyone is different.
That's extremely interesting how everybody has like
Different.
completely different. Like
Different approach.
Tina, when she went first time, she was probably similar to what you're describing. Like she actually stepped in to the knees and she was like, "He's going to dive." I was like, "Nope," I jumped out. But then just trying feet, hands, trying
Small steps.
Small steps.
As I said, everyone's got different trigger, right? And everyone is going to have a different
Absolutely.
anxiety towards something, right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing which is going to spike you up. For me, for example, like training, I mean, you can put me through the pain and I'm not going to freak out. I mean, if it's going to be Paolo and his assessment, you're going to freak out no matter what. which is a cool thing, honestly.
But that's why you come from time to time anyway. To have that.
No, but other than that, even now, like when I'm pregnant, everyone is like, "You're training so hard." And I'm like, "No, I don't." I'm in the full flow. I'm like,
Let's backtrack a little bit, okay?
sorry.
We'll get there. Okay, so you change your diet, you do the basically strong fit protocol, separating carbs and protein for recovery, carbs for fuel for the workouts. What starts you to change after time? Just stretching that out. After some time, what's starting to be different?
Less anxiety.
Okay.
That was a major one. On the more
How about the sleep?
on the mental side, sleep definitely way better. So less racing thoughts over the night when I was waking up. Still episodes here and there. Depends on the the stage.
Dinner?
But the 7 hours felt different?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
big
was different
time.
about it?
I just could sleep through, not waking up, and
Nice.
like waking up more rested than
Because the
actually
brain
more
has
tired. Because the brain actually rested.
There were a couple of people who, after starting this protocol, they actually decreased their sleeping time significantly because they were able to get quality sleep in 4 hours, something what before they didn't even get in 8 hours. However, and they woke up very fresh and active. However, over time, it kind of like established and stabilized again to a little bit longer time. So they didn't stay on 4 hours, but there were people who from sleeping 8 hours and waking up tired went to 4 hours and feeling very fresh. So
That's good.
that's a cool thing.
Yeah, so definitely, as I said, less anxiety, less running thoughts, felt more rested, and finally I started gaining weight, which for me was a big thing because
When?
like many people think it's like, oh, you can eat whatever, and like, no, I like eating whatever, it's not gonna make you feel good, and it's not about gaining just fat. Right?
Yeah. You wanted to gain control.
I mean, I needed fat, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I needed fat, but I was gaining the weight, so muscles and fat, in the way which didn't make me feel like heavy, or I wasn't anxious about, me getting bigger. So that was,
So gaining and still feeling good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and still feeling good about it. Although I got, like a couple of comments from a few people like, oh, you're getting bigger. I was like, oh, I didn't know that you can have a fat here. What?
Oh, that's
That's
so nice, so nice to say this. Oh my
People
God.
are
This is
like
crazy.
that.
Like, hey, why we can't just establish that commenting in any direction on other people's body is not really going to do well for them. Like, if you want to hurt them, okay, go for it. But it's just telling me, I'm not going to name now. I don't want to.
No names.
Telling me. No, Phil told me last week, 2 weeks ago. He was like, "Oh, Paul, you're getting smaller and smaller every week." I was like,
Phil?
Thank you very much." I know he didn't come
I know.
It was very, but still, like, you start to think, I was like, why is this necessary?
I know. A couple of months ago, there was this guy that I got to know through last Ramadan because I was working out in the evening after iftar. And so I met him a couple of times, and then for months I didn't see him. In those months, I was working out 4 to 5 times a week, and then saw him, and this is the first sentence he said, "Oh, you lost weight." I'm like, it doesn't matter if I lost weight. I would have preferred if he said you look toned. Toned is different than weight. But for me, he was like, "You look thinner." I'm like, "What? Why?" It was in my head, but I just blew it off immediately. I'm like, what? Doesn't matter.
Or
It's his
even this,
perspective.
the comment to Asha might have been meant like, "Oh, you're getting bigger, you
In a nice
get
way.
some fat," and they meant it in a good way.
Yes, but
However, that still doesn't mean
how
that
it
it will
was
be interpreted in a
perceived.
good way, right?
It was perceived. But how did you receive it? Did you like it? You didn't like it?
I really don't like when people commenting my body in any way. I
Fair
think
enough.
I think it's really tied into how I was feeling when I was very lean and everyone was just adoring my body. So I think it's I think it's that.
I'm also a little bit on a hard gainer side, or definitely used to be, and now I'm working on it. Phil, I'm working on it. I got a comment from a guy. That was 10 years ago. He was like, "Oh my God, like, you're so skinny, so ripped. I wish I'm like." And he was a guy who we trained together, and he had like a little bit, belly, and he wasn't really looking like he's training. And I mean, I know, and I knew he meant it in a good way, but still telling me that I'm skinny, I didn't like it, even though he meant it like the biggest compliment, but I didn't like it. So yeah, just stop. Just stop commenting
I
on
think
it.
it's because people don't realize what is behind it and how much work you put into something, right? If it comes to changing the body composition, or like in my case, like literally trying to get pregnant, it's not simple as, well, this is how your body looks, so I can comment it in a very simple way. It's so much more than that behind it. And for me, it was like literally not being able to get pregnant and finally start, gaining weight, which was really necessary for me. It's like, it's really important. It took so much effort from my side, so much work, and you're just commenting it this way. Fuck off.
Yeah, it's not even scratching the surface of what you are going through, right?
That's why, I'm very careful when what language I use when I talk to people, to my clients, and, because you need to be careful.
Yeah, you see, like, this was absolutely unimportant remark, commenting on my body 10 years ago from a guy whose name I probably don't even know. I still remember it. Not like I really, like I can sleep over it. Like I'm okay. But
sure I can see your some black.
But I still remember it, right?
Yes,
so it probably had some maybe even bigger impact that I was able to get. So.
Absolutely. So yeah.
Okay, you gained weight.
Yes, I did.
People told you that.
People told me that I gained weight.
Okay.
It was showing.
And what's next?
Well, we've been trying for some time. Nothing was happening, but because obviously I was not ovulating, so as we know, biology, like doesn't work like that. You can't get pregnant without ovulation. So apparently it's not that, easy to get pregnant. And I wish to every single girl were more educated in school, even about, the menstrual cycle, the getting pregnant, and
Pills.
And pills, obviously, because Because people think it's really easy. It's just click and you're pregnant. I mean, in some of the cases, yes, if you're, if you're healthy and it was a perfect timing and everything and things happened.
And the whole background that you had to actually like put into line and sort out, for some people, they are just there. They don't even know, right?
They don't
so
even
it just
know.
happens.
Yeah. So we decided to consult my situation with Fertility clinic. Just, looking for options because it was taking time and I was pretty fed up and, start getting, don't want to say depressed, but I was pretty on the low side because I was, change the training regime, train the nutrition. And I was very grateful for that because with all of that, it came out new person out of me. But at the same time, the more energy you put into something,
And no result.
no result, it can throw you off.
Yes,
Of course.
Absolutely.
It can throw you off. And I'm not talking about, 8 weeks of magic program or something. It's
So how long
years.
this was in? Like this point was like after how long when you started?
I think 2 years.
2 years in.
Yeah, 2 years in, and then I decided to. We both decided to go to the fertility clinic. It wasn't an easy decision because in my head I didn't really want to admit that something is wrong I cannot fix, and that was my previous mentality. I can fix
So
everything.
You wanted to be in charge of
Yes.
of the solution, right?
Of
You
the
didn't want
solution,
to give the control to
No, I
someone else.
didn't. I didn't
Oh,
want to.
okay.
And it's maybe some other girls can relate because it's for me it was a hard decision that I needed to admit. Okay, we got a problem and we need to find out what's what's wrong, and actually asking for help, which is sometimes not very easy. I think it's also important to mention that. At least for me, like without having a period and not being able to get pregnant, I didn't feel like 100% woman. Like I felt like something is missing and I didn't feel like I'm fulfilled. It was really hard. It was really hard mentally.
This is actually very interesting. What you just said, I was just about to comment on that. A lot of people, whether it's men or women, if they are told that they are not capable of conceiving a child, even though they never wanted kids, it's like it hurts.
Of course.
Even they were like, well, I never want a kid, but now I don't feel good about myself because I'm not capable, right? Because it's different if it's your decision or if it's given that you just can't.
You can't, and it's really hard. It's really hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Did the clinic tell you that you were unable to become pregnant?
They didn't say that. Okay. They didn't say that. Like they have approached there, to help you as much as they can to go through, the starting small and ending up big when it comes to the procedures and everything.
How do you welcome the procedures? Were you against it because you were saying that you were still struggling to give the control to someone else?
It was more about that part rather than the procedures by itself.
Okay.
I think it's just, giving control, not even control to someone else, just admitting, there is an issue and I need to ask for help.
Okay.
And so that was, that was big. I went to the clinic. I was very proud of myself and I was very, very stressed at the same time because, thank you.
It was a big step.
That was a big step. And the first doctor, she put me, there was, again, a lot of testing, like the hormonal levels and everything. She went from my medical history and she said, look, it just seems that you are not ovulating, so we need to first support that. Let's make you ovulate.
But you knew that already, right?
I knew that already, so it was,
okay,
I was like, okay,
not a major breakthrough in the case.
No, which was I think that's why I took it easy because it wasn't devastating. It was like, okay, like this thing I already know, like it's a fact. So she said, well, let's start with that. Let's make you ovulate. and let's see what is going to happen. So I went through, they call it stimulation. So they make the egg in your ovary grow to the right size, so he can, it can actually be released. And then, let's see. Because sometimes it's not about being fertile. Sometimes it's like, for example, in my case, it's just not ovulating. Because we found out that actually I am fertile. I'm just not releasing
Well, I would
eggs.
say so.
Yeah, we got a proof here. We tried that. So there was, a couple of shots I got, the injections to stimulate the growth of the egg. And then when the egg is big enough and, well grown, you're getting another injection.
Right enough, yeah.
Right, yeah, it has to be, You're getting the injection for the actual ovulation. And then you go and cuddle with your husband or wife. Husband, obviously.
Yeah, if you go and after ovulation injection cuddle with your wife, I don't know.
Who knows? Those days.
Nowadays, exactly.
you can do everything. You can do anything and everything. So we're successful right away.
Right away as how long? Like, let's say.
I think you need to wait, as I remember, like 3 weeks.
They kind of timed it for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the time when the egg is coming.
So you're going after injections, like every 3 to 4 days, you're coming for a checkup. So they're measured, the egg and everything. And as I said, if the egg is already big enough, they will make a decision. Okay, now I think we can release it, so it has more chances to actually,
And you were successful.
Yes, and we were successful.
You're the second person that I hear about having that injection. And within the small period, it just succeeded.
And it was, I was so happy. Oh my God. I'm like, wow, it's like my body is not that shit, apparently.
Relief, yeah?
Yeah, it was really, really big relief, I use the language I use because this is how I express myself, but you cannot imagine how relieved, proud, happy I was. It was, it was really, really, I just couldn't believe that. I'm like, how the hell I was struggling for 3 years and only this small thing, which didn't cost me much mentally. On the day I already decide, and physically, it made me pregnant. I'm like, wow, this is cool.
Hashtag science.
And unfortunately, after 3 months, I miscarried the first baby.
Oh, sorry to hear.
Thank you. So that was very traumatic event because after being successful, not really expecting a lot, but being successful and like feeling the relief and feeling like, oh, it's like I can have a baby actually.
Yeah, you were basically kind of in your head. You were already in the finish,
zone.
right?
Yeah, and I think doctors, they don't talk a lot about the miscarriage, especially at least this doctor I went to see. So I was not prepared. You can't be prepared for this kind of event, but there was she didn't mention anything. It's like, hey, don't get too excited. It might happen, and it actually happened in 25% of the pregnancy if it's supported, or if it's just natural pregnancy. It's happening a lot.
It's happening way more than people normally are aware of. It's like 1 of 4 or 5 pregnancies is.
That's a big percentage.
That's a big percentage.
However, you said it was in 3 months.
Or was 10 on the 10th week. So
That's
it's like
because basically the further you go, the probability is like
less
drastically decreasing.
Yeah, so after 3 months, after the 12th week, it's just stable. That's what I understood.
Well,
No?
in the 10th week, the probability of miscarriage is less than 1%.
Okay.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Yeah.
It's still a 1%, still a percent.
Yeah.
Or percentage.
For me, it was a miscarriage. So what it means, there was no physical sign of miscarriage.
Okay.
So I just found out of my 10 weeks checkup.
So it might have happened even earlier. And
So
you
they
didn't know
said it
about
was
yeah.
probably around 7 weeks.
Oh.
So, you know, like that was, I think, was also like very traumatic.
And you didn't feel anything? You didn't know?
I mean, I was at the beginning, I was pretty feeling sick and it went away.
Mm-hmm.
But every single pregnancy is different, and sometimes girls, you know, are getting better at the 12-week mark, sometimes at the 10, sometimes they will never get better, then constantly sick. So I just took it because I didn't know what to
and you never
expect.
went through it before, right?
And I never went through it before, so I'm like, yeah, I'm sick. Oh, I'm not sick. Yay, cool. So that was you know, in terms of emotions, and it was just very overwhelming, and I think I never experienced something that sad in my life, like never, ever. So that was, you know, that was a big part of the journey, getting super excited, relief, and then just, you know, everything flipped upside down. And then, you know, trying to recover from that, and then thinking about another pregnancy, because me and Pavel, we still wanted to have another one, but we need to, you know, you need to physically recover. Your uterus need to be clean out to be ready, you know, to actually.
How long is the duration for that?
In my case, it was I think 3 months. Okay. Yeah, 3-4 months. When I get a green light for the doctor to try it again.
So you're going for a checkups, and they were kind of observing the situation.
Yes.
And telling you, not yet. Maybe it's not the.
They're basically checking your, you know, the soft tissues, right? Your uterus, if it's clean, because if it's getting thick enough again, if the hormones working.
Were you taking some hormones in this time?
No.
And
No.
What were you taking? Or there was nothing to take?
There was in my case there was nothing to take. They just said, hey, we're gonna wait and we're gonna go through the process one more time because you were successful the first time. It's just you're one of the 4 girls which, you know, miscarriage, and that's, you know, that's normal.
How did you grow, or how did you manage mentally to get out of that? What did you experience, or what did you use as a method to get out of this? What helped you?
Training.
Training for sure was really hard. Honestly, I just get back to work.
Okay.
So that was, you know,
Distraction.
more like a distraction, not really working on that and not going through that. It was just, I need something which gonna keeps me away from this kind of emotions, which is, you know, basically run away.
And you are not alone. You had Paul.
Yes. So we are, you know, we're just openly speaking about it with my husband, to not, you know, to not hide it, to not just hiding away or pushing away the emotions. I think is the worst thing you can do to yourself, because no matter what, after sometimes they're gonna catch you in many different ways. So
how was he taking it?
The first few days were pretty rough. Like, he was really emotional. Like, I think I told my friend today that, you know, of course, losing a baby for me was very traumatic, but seeing my husband crying on the street, it was so upsetting. Like, my heart was just broken. So, you know, it's you are experiencing, you know, the trauma, but also you seeing your closest person to you, like the person who you love the most, experiencing as well, like very, you know, sad emotions.
Now, I'm not like implying anything. I'm just curious. Okay, I don't want this to come wrong. Did you feel responsible towards him for what happened? Like you felt bad because you felt responsible, or that was not there?
No, not really. I didn't have
I mean,
that
like
one.
in the meaning of blaming yourself.
Yeah, I know what you mean. No, it was more about I must admit that my body just betrays me because it didn't let me know about what is happening, and I have again such a doubt in myself that how the hell it happened that my body didn't tell me.
Maybe it did. You just didn't know how to read the
I
signals,
just didn't
right?
know. Yeah. And, like I always said that your body, doesn't own you anything. And it's, it's just the way it is. If it's going to give you a signal, it's going to give you a signal. If it's not going to give you a signal, or it's going to give you a signal, but you will not know how to read it. It's, it's nature and life is brutal. And this is what it is, Yeah, so
So you work together to get
we
out of it.
were together. We were talking a lot about it. I went to see. I contacted Polish therapists to have someone, to talk to, which is gonna be not my husband, not my friend, and someone is gonna speak in Polish. Just
Close enough, but far enough.
But far enough, yeah. Just to get some help because I knew at that time that I'm just not, I'm not doing well. And that's also, the time I made changes in work because I knew I'm just mentally, I'm not okay. I was broken. So I'm like, I need to take care of myself. This is time just for myself and to try one more time. But if I want to try one more time, I need to be in better mental space.
Was this something the therapist came with, or
no.
Did you already knew that and you seek the therapy just to help yourself with that?
That was actually my idea because I knew I need to change environment to feel. I don't want to say safe because I was feeling, safe in the environment I was working, but I needed more energy just for myself. I couldn't deal with that. I'm spending...
So you felt a bit suffocated there?
Yeah. It was... I cannot spend so much energy on others. Like, this is not the right time. Like, my priority is different. And you know how it is in today's world, like... You very rarely prioritizing yourself. It's always like work, spouse, friendships, and what people are gonna say, blah, blah, blah. And I made a clear statement. Yeah. And I'm like, now it's about me. And
nice.
It was not easy decision, but
maybe that was
good.
the missing piece.
Maybe.
Could have
right?
been. Yeah.
Maybe.
Most probably, yes.
Maybe because I was, of course I changed and everything, but I was still giving so much of myself to others that maybe this was, stopping me from actually having this baby.
There's nothing wrong by being selfish when it comes to these kind of things sometimes.
I think it's not... I actually had a fight about this with my psychology teacher on uni because I said that a person who is not happy themselves, I believe that person who is not happy themselves, like they'll have very hard time making others people truly happy, right?
100%.
And he didn't agree with that for reasons of, like, for example, his kind of example was you have a kid, you're not really happy with work, relationship, whatever, but you can still support them and make them happy. I think maybe on that like surface level, yes, but I still think that to be valuable in any relationship, you still need to first
think of
yourself,
Take care
right?
of yourself.
So what you're saying, like, it's not bad to be selfish. I think that, like, period, not in this kind of situation. It's just like, it's not bad. Like, why it would be like, where we got this idea that thinking of yourself is wrong.
It's wrong.
You know what? You know who is Harvey Specter from The Suits?
Yeah.
The TV show.
I might know.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
bad at names, but yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
he just he had this quote. You can find it on Instagram Reels. That when you have in your life somebody that you really, really would do absolutely anything to make them happy, make that person you and do whatever you like. In a meaning, if really same thing. Like, yeah, it sounds like selfish, but it's so important. It's so important to actually take care of yourself first before you start to taking care of others. When you have, in planes, you have always
the oxygen first for you.
Oxygen first for you, then help others.
It's not selfish. It's just have to focus.
Exactly.
So I need to breathe
How
first.
you can
how are you
help
going to
others
save
if you're gonna
others?
pass out?
Yeah, how are you going to save others when you're killing yourself at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So always oxygen first for yourself, and then figure out what you can do for others.
Yeah, so I
With
think
clear mind.
I think I needed that oxygen for myself.
Well, you got it, right?
Yeah,
Obviously.
so I got it. Obviously, I got it.
So besides the therapist,
Yes.
what did you change around you? And you said work as well. What else did you change? Like, did you move out, for example? Did you go on a vacation? Did you reduce meeting friends? Did you do any activity outdoors? Like, what else did you change? What missing pieces, maybe puzzle pieces?
I think no. Outside, I mean, the change in work was a big one for me.
Okay.
So that was the first thing, just to getting the energy, more energy for myself, and overall working less and stop beating myself about, like, I need to do this, I need to do that. People expect this, people expect that. I'm like, no, they don't. It's you, just being hard on yourself. That's usually the case. So a lot of letting go, but also a lot of acceptance, like literally just raw acceptance. And it's like, well, this is what it is, and it's fine. You don't need to panic over it.
But this wasn't you years ago, before that.
Oh, no.
Yes, because you said your mind was overthinking.
Man, no.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't me.
So can you look at the chart of your mental change within those years that made you reach to that moment where you've decided, you know what, work is not that important. Well, work is important, but I mean, satisfying others is not important.
Yeah,
so you've managed to succeed and grow and grow and grow, which helped you to reach to a
I
certain
just
position.
realized that, my self-happiness and just well-being, is the first thing, which is gonna, which is the most important thing if you want to be successful with anything else.
Once I did a kind of psychological exercise, and I know people who are doing it like religiously every year, that you write a letter to yourself in a year. And the whole idea is you actually should have somebody else to send it to, so you're not like, where it is and you're tempted to always open it and look at it. The idea is that it's a very, very nice and strong self-reflection when you read about your situation from a previous year. And it's many times also very eye-opening, because you know what they say, like, if you're in the same thought patterns, in the same position you were a previous year, then you probably didn't really move anywhere, you didn't really learn. Then what you're describing, this is massive change of, it's new Asha, it's
No, it
completely
is.
new person.
It is.
Completely
That's
new
what I'm
person.
saying. It's just the
It's
progressive
just,
program.
like changing your personality, identity, and your beliefs and everything. It takes time and it takes effort. It's,
So good.
It's good.
so good.
It's good. No, I couldn't be happier, like, as I said, I'm like, I'm more chilled, which, which just helps, with the relationships, with work and everything. It's like, why do we need to constantly stress about everything?
Well, I don't have to ask me.
Yeah, it's like we're living in
But
at
however,
least we are living in a pretty safe world here. Not everyone is, lucky to be able to say that, unfortunately.
But if we go a little bit deeper into your question, then like, why we need that stress, right? So you're kind of addicted on it. That's our triggers, right?
That's for sure.
That's what triggers you. That's what gives you think, presumably, that it gives you the energy. Yeah? It's like, I need to do this, and task, and tick boxes, and like, just chill out,
Just chill.
Once my psychology teacher said that, do you realize that all the stress in the world is just because of our perception of time? If you remove time from the equation, there's no stress, because all stress is just like, it needs to be done at this point, and I need to be pregnant by 28, I need to be this and this,
No, that's
it's
true.
just remove the time from all your stress equations why it's happening, because terms and goals and this and quarterly goals and half-year goals and it's
And all of that.
like you're doing it to yourself. You're just doing it to yourself.
Correct.
Yeah, so once you realize that, I think you can start working on yourself, because there needs to be some kind of realizations. And as you were describing the 5 stages, it's like you need to get pissed at yourself and, realize some of the bullshit you've been telling yourself for years.
Can you imagine how much people actually neglect that part? They refuse that mirror stand and talk to yourself.
Oh yeah.
It's massive. It's huge. I
Because
read
it's
something.
uncomfortable. Man, if you've
They're worried
bullshitting
about-
yourself for 10 years with one thing and suddenly you need to stop that, it's like, it doesn't take, a minute in front of the mirror. You're not gonna do it. Yeah, right.
Exactly what you said, like that last stage of the learning, right? Being angry on yourself. What it actually means. It's not like you'll start to hit your head to the wall, right? It means that you will finally realize that you are the one who is responsible for the whole situation. And that's it. You are the
Taking
one
charge.
you are in charge, you are responsible, and nobody else can fix it for you. You just need to do it, right? You needed to take the decision. I'm done with this attempt to please everybody and make everybody else happy on cost of my own well-being, right?
Absolutely.
It's, it's hard, and it's like with everything else, like we humans, we like to blame everything else except us.
Ourselves.
No.
Correct.
It's like, no, it's not me. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's you.
It's always you.
It's always you. It's literally always
I think it's a human nature. But with age, we grow to understand that, you know what, you learn.
You learn.
You learn.
Of course.
You learn.
Experience.
Okay, Asha, let's go in a timeline a little bit further.
We stuck a little bit. So
But this was probably the key point, right, for your transition.
That was it,
like
yes.
in this period.
Yes,
That was a bottleneck, probably.
like the girls are asking, oh, what did you do? What kind of changes and everything? And, like we can go through, as we said, like nutrition and like different kind of training. But sometimes it's just, all the self-work and giving yourself a permission to maybe relax or to make a more space for yourself, to get the energy back and everything. And those things are not easy because you can't touch them, let's say, right? Like with nutrition, you can, I mean, for some people it's easy, for some people not. But it's just about changing the food, right? When it comes to the self-work, it's not, you cannot touch it. You cannot, it's like, it's a whole process. It's a really whole process. But
and the thoughts are sometimes well ingrained in you, right? So
absolutely. So moving forward, we did the procedure one more time.
Same procedure.
Same procedure, waiting a little bit longer. Like really, I think, we waited maybe 1 week longer, which is pretty long time when it comes to growing, the eggs and releasing them. But I trusted the process. I'm like, okay, let's keep waiting. And once we feel like it's all well done and cooked, let's release that.
let's serve.
And we were successful for the second time.
What did you change after knowing that you succeeded?
I got more anxious, big time. I was, of course, I was super happy. I did the pregnancy test on my husband's 40th birthday, so that was, that was
40th?
Yeah, he's 40.
Okay. Oh shit!
Papa is 40. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's shocker for me. How old are you?
32.
32. Okay, well, I got right. Okay, I didn't know about it. Okay.
Everyone is saying, it's like, you guys are both like more or less the same age. I'm like, no.
Get that out of your head. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
So,
So that was a very, very nice present.
Yes. Yes. So, to be very honest, we're not same excited as the first time. We just took it as like, cool.
You were careful.
Yeah, we were
You just
more
don't want to get
careful,
overexcited. Yeah.
and we didn't tell anyone for pretty long time.
Good.
I was, I told Pavel, I was like, please don't tell anyone. I don't want anyone to know, because before, like, people are still, when I miscarried, I still had a little bit small belly, and people didn't know, and they'll keep congratulating me, and I was just like, I cannot talk to you right now. I just couldn't handle it. Anyway, that's why we made decisions like, okay, let's just keep it for us for some time. So I'll gain more confidence in that, and let's pass, the 12-week mark. So it, and then we can maybe start
12 weeks.
announcing.
12 weeks is basically nesting, right?
Yes.
The baby is
It's attaching to your uterus and all.
also nervous system development, I believe,
Yes,
is done by that point, right?
It's died by that point, and
Have you changed anything of your diet, of your training within that period? You just stayed.
no, honestly, that was already fixed, and I didn't feel like I need to,
Okay.
make another changes, because you can, you can keep doing changes, and you will be never satisfied.
Correct.
If something works and if it's good,
Correct.
maybe just leave it. Right? Because we're always looking for better, and better. I'm like, what if this is it? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's, good enough, it's good enough.
That's a very interesting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, light didn't come
What
from...
is the better is already what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Just
they
give
always
it
say
time. Yeah.
1% better every single day. I'm like, yeah, kind of, but maybe sometimes no.
But it's in 3 months you're 100% better. I don't think that works.
No. So that's why I'm like, okay, like, me being successful with the second pregnancy doesn't mean I need to suddenly change something, because I didn't feel like I did something wrong the first time. As I said, I didn't.
It was the odds, basically.
It was, I didn't blame myself. I just had a feeling that my body betrayed me. That's it. So I was just, I just left it as it is, with, all the feelings, like being very scared about this pregnancy, like really focus on all the signals. And I was pretty sick for 14 weeks, and I was so happy about that. I'm like, yes, I'm sick every single day. It's awesome. I mean, it was awful.
Like morning sickness?
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
all
no,
day sickness?
that was 24
Wow.
hours sickness.
And still happy about it.
And I'm like, yes, I'm still pregnant.
Nice.
So, that's, that may sound funny, but that's the reality for some of the girls. If you're getting symptoms, even if they're not pleasant for you, you're so happy. You're just so happy, because you know that things are still going. So, and I think I was pretty, scared and anxious up to about 25 weeks. So that was a pretty long time.
Period. Wow.
Yes. Because, from like being sick to not feeling sick, but keep checking on baby, that's fine. Then to start feeling the movement. And at the beginning, the movement is not really well established, because depends on the position of the baby, because the baby is, it's still very, very small and weak, so you're not going to feel it nonstop. And depends also where the placenta is attached, if it's from the front or from the back of your uterus. I got the front one, so I couldn't feel a lot, because there was extra cushion, right, between
So padding there.
Yes, there was a little padding there. So it was taken to the point I literally, had a few panic attacks here and there, because I just could not feel the baby moving. And it's literally awful, because you cannot do anything. I mean,
What did you do when that happened?
Hospital, emergency, right away. And I was like, the first time, I think second time, I was like, yeah, maybe I'm freaking out, but I start crying. And again, it's like, I couldn't stop. And I was at the time, we were driving with Pavel from Expo, like at 9 p.m. And he was like, that's it. I'm getting us to a hospital. We need to check on that. And he was telling me everything is fine, but hospital right away. Mm-hmm. So, honestly, that's my biggest advice. If you're a pregnant woman, and if you don't feel like, like something is moving, not moving, if you're just very concerned, go to a hospital and check so you can, you can get
Sleep that night.
You can sleep that night.
Going one time or even 10 times and
As
finding
ma-
nothing is better than going one time.
Go as many times as you want.
And the hospital are helpful in these cases. The doctors.
The hospital, I'm with Parkview. It was very helpful. So I went to emergency 3 times in pretty short period of time. So at the third time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, what they're going to think about me? We still think about it. Stupid, hey? But I was like, I need to check on the baby. But they said to me, it's like, anytime you're going to feel concerned, just come right to the hospital.
Nice.
Because you don't want to, first of all, overstress yourself. It's not good for you. It's not good for the baby. And we are able to do it. So why wouldn't you?
How stupid would it be not to go just if you feel something might not be right?
Yes.
And you don't go just because I was there already this week. So
yeah, I'll just wait. I'm like, and you know what it is? It's like some of the girls, not even pregnancy-wise, they will feel something or they will not feel anything, but they will just wait. I mean, like with all the people, a little bit pain, right? Yeah, it's gonna go away. Let's not check it. And one day you're waking up and you can't move. And it's like we keep pushing the limits and everything. And it's same with the pregnancy. Some of the girls like, no, I'll just wait till the morning. But why would you? So, like, I made a decision that every time I start feeling panicky and I cannot calm down, I don't feel the baby's kicking, hospital. So that, that
How often is she kicking now? This is not because of some pronouns bullshit. Yeah, this is because Asha and Pavel decided they don't want to know the gender until the day D, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it's gonna be a massive life surprise. So that's it's pretty exciting.
That's can't even imagine how exciting.
So now I feel the baby all the time, not moving, but just being there. Literally, you can feel it's like it's not just the belly; you can feel the human inside. There's some kind of connection. It's like wow.
I think you can tell us all you want about that, and we will never understand it.
Yes, absolutely.
No,
never.
No, it's funny because I mentioned before, even we start recording that even gaining all the weight and everything, it doesn't feel, at least for me, of course, that I'm just getting fatter and bigger. No, I can actually feel there's a human being there, and I carry this little baby. So that's cool. I think for most of the girls which I talked to and for myself, the more calm you are, the better you're gonna feel the baby in terms of the movement. Mm-hmm. So if I'm training or if I'm coaching, I'm not gonna feel that much. If I'm just sitting still or lying still, the baby is gonna move. It, for example, it just moved.
Oh well, okay. Hello.
So now it's getting out of space, of course, because we're on the last stretch. So
is baby letting you know, for example, in training, like, no, we don't like this movement?
I'm not sure if it's a baby or if it's my body. It's more like my body. The baby is always happy when I train because it puts him or her into sleep because you got, So
really?
When you're moving your body, like the baby is, rocking inside. So it's falling asleep.
It probably depends what workout you do as well, right?
No, because I think some of the people have an idea that the baby in the belly is like a single tic-tac in the box. It's just going, but it doesn't,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's in the water, so it's cuddled by your uterus and everything.
Floating, basically.
So it's floating. Even
it's like a pretty cramped toboggan.
Yeah. So most of the babies they love movement because, as I said, they're just being rocked into sleep.
If we go through your training, the nutrition-wise, you didn't change much, correct? As you were going through the
I
pregnancy then?
struggle at the beginning with protein. As I mentioned, I just was feeling very, very sick, and the protein was the least macronutrient I wanted to eat, actually. I didn't have any crazy cravings, none of that. I was actually craving a lot of fresh vegetables and fruits. Amy. Yeah.
That's probably the best craving you can get.
Like,
I would
yeah.
say.
Like no really sugar cravings or any of that. Maybe the chili rice cakes. There was like one particular, type of the rice cakes I craved a few times, and I'm like, I really want to have that.
Did you have them?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
How did you sort out that protein thing? Like, did you say like, all right, if body is not really okay with it, I rather not have it, or you found a different alternative?
I was just playing with different types of it. So, for example, eggs were working much better than any other meat. Fish was pretty okay. Shrimps works great.
Shrimps?
Yes.
Okay.
Chicken was a no. Like a red meat for a long time was a no. So something, chicken is not, super, super high on the digestion level. But red meat, it is pretty.
Oh, you mean like difficulty of digesting?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think, like your body is pretty smart. It's like, okay, let's maybe not have that.
Something lighter.
Yeah, but no, it passed after this 14 weeks mark for me. So that was.
So you were not doing like protein shakes because you were not eating enough protein or something.
I'll have from time to time because it's just. It tastes differently. So
whey protein, casein?
Casein.
Casein, yes. Casein for life. And always for dinner.
Yes, and always for dinner. So casein for sure. It doesn't upset my stomach. It doesn't make me feel bloated. So that's a good sign.
This is a different situation, but this is exactly why I do casein as well. Everything what you said.
Yeah. It's the whey protein doesn't make me feel that good as casein anyway. And I lost the topic.
Oh, that's fine. That's why I'm here. We went through the food, which you said didn't change much, but I wanted to go to training.
Okay.
Because especially first 12 weeks or 8 to 12 weeks are very different. And first, second, third trimesters are usually considered, or at least in textbooks you have it like, okay, in this time you should avoid this, in this time you should avoid this, and like how are you going through all this? If you don't have to go week by week, but kind of like. So
the first weeks again depends on how you're feeling, what is your baseline, and if you have a risk pregnancy, and of course in first weeks sometimes you can't really tell if it's gonna be a risk pregnancy or not. So that's why it's important, to not take the training too seriously, because if there's any risk, you might not gonna know in those first few days, weeks. So that's why you need to, I would encourage girls to be a little bit more careful. And other than that, depends how you're feeling, right? The breathing is just getting very messy. So you're getting out of breath really fast. So the intensity is going naturally down. The body is very smart of doing that and will not let you go, past certain levels. For me, for example, I could feel straight away, pulling in my forepack, in my abdominal area, with all the
four-pack is the top of the six-pack, yeah. That's it's not a common name for it. So
yeah, so I could feel it with pull-ups, with toes to bar, and it just made me anxious. I'm like, no, let's drop that. I don't want to do that.
So hanging. Hanging wasn't for you.
Hanging was not making me feel good, so I just dropped that.
Okay.
Other than that, I was just a little bit more careful. I I didn't go like, okay, it's for time, so I need to, make certain number of reps or everything. Or I need to hit certain numbers.
So you worked out to move. You didn't
I just
work out.
I just work out to move in the first trimester because, of course, knowing the previous situation with miscarriage, I was just like keeping it, pretty chilled and
Chilled, but you're still training.
Yes.
So it wasn't like, okay, I'd rather do nothing than...
No. I'm like, for me, training, it's my time. I very rarely train with people. I like to train on my own because it's literally me time, right? So it's something for the soul, something for the body.
Also, stopping itself might be way bigger shock to the system than keep going.
And honestly, there are no evidences, no researchers which will be supporting that training in pregnancy it's gonna, cause any miscarriage or no. As I said,
cause any problems.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing like that. So if it feels good, if it feels good, if you have energy for that, just move, right? So that was my case. I used to, I was able to train for the whole pregnancy.
I used to train, and even now I have a client who is pregnant, and generally there's just 2 rules. For the strength, you should not go heavier than your 10 rep max. So if there is a weight you cannot lift at least 10 times, don't touch it. So you're not creating unnecessarily too much tension in the abdomen.
In the abdomen area,
and second rule, you should always, that's more towards the cardio part of it, you should always be able to answer with a fluent sentence. So you should not go to an intensity where you only can like spit out some words if I will ask you something.
Yeah.
So that's because both of these, the strength part and the cardio, it basically sets you to 70% of your capacity. And it's simple as that. And it worked for my clients. So I'm just curious how much you were focusing or tracking this kind of stuff, or you just went like completely by feel?
No, I was tracking some of those kind of things, but I'm not very attached to the numbers. So for me, it was more about the feel, and I set myself a set of constraints when it comes to training, and I changed the intent of the training. So let's say I made literally a deal with myself. Okay, this is what you can experience. This is out of the list for now. So for me, it was breathing, right? If I cannot breathe through lifting, if I cannot breathe through the workout, it's or too heavy or it's just too intense.
Too fast.
It's too fast. So it's like I wasn't following the rule. If I cannot have a conversation, it's, because for me, it's like, first of all, I never talk to people when I train.
And you said you were training alone anyway.
It's
so.
just a marker how you can track it.
But for me, it's like, either I focus on my breathing pattern or talking. I'm the person who cannot do both, actually. So like me, I'll be super, super fine with the breathing. But the moment I start talking, I start losing the breathing. Okay. So for me, it was like, just, make sure it's easy breathing. For me, it's like the choking thing, which, which stops me from the training
like
at the moment.
Upper chest
thing, because I know it's like, I'm start getting into the fight and everything. And normally I will just go with that, but it's not that in place and time. So that was constraint number 1. So you only lift and you only move as fast as you can freely breathe. Okay. The second thing was the thought patterns. So if you start getting negative or you start questioning yourself, it's out.
It's too far.
It's just too far, right? And in the first and the third trimester, if you know a little bit about the phylogenetic hierarchy and all the states of the nervous system, which we got fight, flow, fight, flight and freeze. In the first trimester and the third trimester right now, I never go past my flow.
Okay. Basically, flow would mean that you're not implying, to simplify it, you're not implying too much stress that will make you to go to make a decision. Am I fighting? Is it worth it? You know, like you're not going there. You're just basically moving to be composed. You need to be composed all the time.
So it takes a little bit of awareness and
that's very interesting point.
Yeah.
That you can do this.
Yeah,
you can do this without supervision because
It's just about
you were working.
because you had the knowledge and you had the pre-knowledge before that.
Not only knowledge, that's one part, but also because
Practice
you can
of
have the
that.
theoretical knowledge
And
of
still don't know
how
shit.
it works, and still you're like, but it's fine. Like where I am, you know, like what fight feels like, what flight feels like am I too far? What am I doing? You know, if you don't have that experienced through hours and hours of training and basically self inspection, you know, just always trying to observe yourself as well, then you're not going to get it right. So that's why you can do this, and you can do it on your own without any supervision, without any coach, without anybody looking at you, because
That's why, you know, like it makes things easier, let's say, a little bit for me when it comes to training, because I know that the fight state and the flight state as well, don't get me wrong, is just not the time right now to do that.
And you said it was first and third semester. So in the second, you were like, all out.
No, not allowed. Not allowed. I would say flow under pressure.
So you were pushing a little bit further.
So I was pushing a little bit further because, first of all, I felt like I have a mental capacity to do that. And I was not turning into the flight state, which is just running away or start questioning myself. Is it gonna, you know, hurt the baby?
Why I'm even here.
What I'm doing. It's not about that. Like, I'm always into the gym. I just love movement so much. It's more about, is it gonna hurt the baby? Is it gonna, you know, like put too much strain on my body? So I didn't want to go into this stage as well. So when I was picking the workouts for going, you know, a little bit harder on them, it was first of all very simple movements. So nothing I could, you know, nothing very too technical. So no barbell, no stuff. Usually, you know, a soul bike sled or something like that. And I needed to feel it on the day. It's like, okay, today is the day I can feel like, oh, I want to push a little bit harder. So I will try one round. It's like, yeah, it feels good. Let's do that.
Yeah, like most people are freaking out right now, like the easy stuff, sled and assault bike.
I was just thinking assault bike.
I mean, simple.
Yeah.
Simple, not easy.
Yeah, you're not lifting, you're not loading the spine, you're not overloading the abdomen and all these movements.
And then third trimester was again back to just the float state, because, you know, you're just getting a little bit less comfortable. There's a bigger strain on the body, like the relaxing, so the hormone which is releases a little bit of the ligaments, it's kicking in, so you're getting a new range of the motion, which is actually, you know, just a passive range of motion, like you're not strong in this deep position, so you need to be a little bit more careful. I did last squats today, but I took 20 pounds off of my starting weight because I could feel already, you know, the heaviness of on the pelvic floor. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna gain anything from those 20 pounds squatted 5 times. It's like, it's, you know,
especially not with the baby in your belly right now. Yeah.
So today I called it, okay, no more spine loading. I got 12 days to go, and I don't feel like it's necessary. And it doesn't mean it felt wrong. I just know myself well enough that it's like, okay, now I feel like I was having a weight on my back today. It's like, it's no pain. I just have this, you know, this feeling. It's like, I don't want to feel like this when the baby is gonna come, and it can come anytime right now. So.
Oh.
Yeah, because you know, but the 12 days is the mark, but who knows, right?
Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? That's why, you know.
When you're saying that your breathing, was the constraint.
Yes.
So did you do nose breathing, mouth breathing? What was the pattern?
Nose in, lips out.
Okay. Nose inhale, exhale through the lips.
Yes. Because now it's. I was pretty good in nasal breathing only. But because of, the physical changes, so the lung capacity is bigger, there's more blood flow and on and on and on. And, like the organs are pushed and the baby is pushing on the diaphragm and all that. It's not that simple.
Okay, so nose breathing became harder for you?
Yes.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's became a little bit harder. I still
At what point?
From start.
From the start, yeah.
From the start, right
Despite-
away. I'm like, I can't do my nasal breathing.
Despite you saying that the lungs actually grew bigger, the breathing had to change. The pattern had to change.
Yeah, it's the lungs capacity is, just
Stretched.
it's greater. I think it's related to progesterone, which makes just your lung capacity bigger, and so you're breathing more often. And
So the breathing rate is higher.
yes,
Okay.
so it's gonna leave you with like a feeling of the, like you're short of breath.
Okay, so
Which you're
let's say
actually
taking
not.
stairs.
Oh, taking. This is the most funny thing. I'm like, I see myself as pretty, like fit person, and taking the stairs. I'm like, oh my god, what's happening? From the parking to my apartment is 3 levels, and on the good days I'll take a 1 stop. On the just a casual day, I'll
You will
take
take
2
elevator.
stops.
Okay.
On my bad day, I'll take like 3 or 4 stops. I'll just go back and take a lift. I'm like, screw that.
On a good day, 1 stop. On a bad day, elevator down.
Elevator. Yeah, so it's it's pretty funny, and it's only with the stairs. Like the training is fine, but the stairs just makes you feel so unfit.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's really interesting. It's really
Asha,
interesting.
when you said that, you know yourself a lot through all the experience before.
Yes.
So it kind of all coming together, right? Because you would not, by far, like at all, be able to know yourself, train yourself, and be capable of feeling the things you feel so they can guide you towards training that 3 years ago when the whole journey started.
Oh, big time.
That would be a mess, huh?
That would be a mess. Like, first of all, I wasn't really aware of the breathing. I wasn't aware of the muscle, except of like everything is burning, so I think it's working. This kind of approach.
It sucks, it's good.
It sucks, it's good. I'm lying on the floor and dying. Checked. No, but, like even connection to the pelvic floor muscles is very important for me, like to having established a good breathing pattern, because the diaphragm is working in sync with your pelvic floor muscles and everything.
You'll come in half a year or a year, and we'll talk about recovery after the labor, okay?
Yes,
about pelvic floor,
let's-
because that's so common.
It's so
common.
and it's like even the coning during the training in the pregnancy, it's oftentimes it's just because you have a wrong breathing pattern. And it's like you're breathing into your 4-pack, so you're breathing into the linea alba, right? So everything is just popping out because you don't know, how to actually expand your like rib cage. You don't know how to breathe with the diaphragm. You don't know how to sink the pelvic floor with the diaphragm. Like the girls are doing opposite, or they're just holding their breath, which like put a whole lot of strain.
Yeah,
on
holding breath doesn't mean necessarily bracing.
Yeah.
It's creating tension.
But
however, it's not the right way of
So
bracing. Yeah.
That was another constraint to training, like no breath holds. If you need to, for me, it's like I know the bracing technique, and if I'm going very, very heavy, I will hold my breath with proper bracing. But if I will have to do that, it's just way too heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just way too heavy.
But what you said, like, until it's like really a test day, 1 rep max, 2 rep max, and now I'm not saying about pregnant ladies, I'm saying about absolutely everybody. That should be a rule for absolutely everybody, that if you have to hold your breath, you're too far.
You're too far.
You're too far because you're holding the breath, your body's trying to protect. It's trying to protect because it's not capable of doing the thing you ask it to do correctly. So just No, if you're losing breathing, you're losing the workout, you're losing the control, and that's not what you
That's
want.
it, it's we have a time and day for that, like a competitions or your testing day, but other than that, it should be, a good quality training. Doesn't mean you're not gonna push yourself, but yeah,
Push
it's
yourself in the correct way.
Yeah, if you're testing yourself every single day, you're not learning anything about yourself. You're just learning how to freaking die every single day. And,
And it's
and then the burnout comes and everything.
It's a downward way eventually, because you will start to burn out also mentally, but also body. Like you cannot do that to body and expect that it will take it great over a long
For me,
period
it's
of
also,
time.
keeping yourself injury free by following this kind of constraint. And for me is, as I said, I straight away, I made a list of constraints for my pregnancy training, and it worked perfectly because through those 9 months, I didn't hurt myself.
Excellent.
I get pretty sore a few times of, still doing stupid workouts with all the constraints, obviously. But if you're on a good day and if you're a pretty good athlete, you can still push pretty hard.
Okay, so you basically managed to go around all of it and still fuck yourself up.
And it's
to a
like,
solid soreness.
yeah, and then you wake up next day, it's like, oh shit, I pushed it too far. But it's learning, right? So it's like, I did it literally 2-3 times during this pregnancy, and it's like, you are not gonna do that again. That's it, simple as that.
Have you had, or do you have till now, some support group of other mummies who are expecting babies, or some friends? And
I do have friends who had babies already, and I'm part of like 2 pregnancy groups. One is based in UAE, and the other one is based in Poland.
so it's like a Facebook group, or like
Yes, it's
okay. So it's not like you actually meet and
No,
Share.
I'm not this kind of girl who are into meetings,
Holding
with-
hands
and all that stuff. Which,
baby showers.
I had a baby shower.
You had a baby shower?
I did have a baby
Okay.
shower.
How baby shower went when you don't know the gender?
Does it matter? It's a baby.
It's a baby. Baby.
I
it's a
know, but
baby.
people had to be like confused, right? Like, oh, what do I do?
Well, if it doesn't match the baby, they can give it away. And
I
then,
mean, like
It doesn't match the baby.
yeah,
my
if
friend.
she had a girl and then she had boy clothes, I'll give
My
it away.
friend Farida, who organized the baby shower, thank you, Farida. That was lovely. Went to organize balloons, and they asked her like, "Oh, what's their gender?" It's like, "Oh, I don't know." It's like, "What do you mean you
Both.
don't know?" It's like, no. It's like she just doesn't want to know, so we don't know if it's a boy or the girl. So it's like, just put both, like green, blue, pink, purple. I mean, for me, honestly,
there is more than 2 colors here, right?
yeah. So,
White.
so it's. I think depends on the person. As I said, I learned a lot of letting go, acceptance, and being just patient. And it doesn't bother me not knowing the gender of the baby. I think it's pretty cool because how many this kind of surprises we'll have in life, and it makes for me the birth by itself so much more exciting. So
Yeah.
much more
And
exciting.
have you been actually tempted at some point, like, oh, now I would like
I
like
think
to know
only
more.
now when it's getting closer, it's
Yeah?
like, maybe we
the
should know.
anticipation,
It
yeah.
will be easier to decide on the name. But honestly, it's been 9 months. Why would I do it? I would be so disappointed.
Yeah, like right now, that's too far. You
my-
pushed
I
it
would
too
get
far.
upset.
If my doctor would tell me like, oh, it's a boy. Oh my God. I think the
But you're not
people
having.
will make a
You
make
sure
an
you're not having
appearance.
twins? Yeah.
I'm sure. Pavel was cheering on that. It's like, let's have to. I'm like, you have to. I'm like, no, thank you.
Do you have names?
Yeah, we do. We got a few for the girls and a few for the boys.
So you're not decided yet.
We're not really 100%
You want
decided
to-
yet.
you want to
I think we
feel
want to feel the name. The
beautiful.
funny thing about picking a name being Polish and living abroad, it's some of the Polish names are like it's hard to pronounce it and everything. So
like 99% people can't say Timea. So.
Yeah, and even with Asha, they have like Asia. I'm like Asha. I'm like
just
that's
see my
not
name
my
happening
name.
in the emails.
You have even like a bi-gender
My name,
right?
yeah, it's a unisex name.
Unisex
And
name.
the emails I receive, just pronunciations are incorrect. People sometimes think I'm a girl, actually, and then they send me winky faces.
Well, you definitely do not.
And then when I call them, it's just, I remember the day.
Big disappointment.
A huge disappointment. Or if I walk in the meeting with a bald head as well, that's even worse.
Yeah, so so it's that. But we are deciding in between, let's say, 2 or 3 names for the girl too, and 3 names for the boy.
Enjoy the pic.
I'm pretty private person, so I'm not gonna say it out loud.
Keep it.
But you guys,
I wouldn't even ask you.
you all need to wait for the gender for the name. That's it.
Yeah, like I mean, I
Looking
don't really
forward.
think the name is important right now. You don't even know gender yet.
Yeah, so it's like, no, we are pretty chilled about.
And do you have, if it's possible, I know if it's possible in Poland, like a unisex name that you would put?
No,
or all of them are
all of them are
sex specific?
Yes,
Okay.
we don't have neutral names in Poland. That's
Do you?
as far as I know.
Do you have unisex names?
Like, for example, you can use Alex,
Oh, yeah. Of
For
course,
both?
because Alexandra and
but
Alexander.
it's Alexandra
Dra
and
or
Alexander.
Alexander.
Yeah,
so
it's
for
same-
example,
same in
so
Poland.
We have plenty.
you have a lot.
Massive amount. Not huge, but my name, my brother's name is unisex names.
Interesting. No, so in
And then because in Slovakia you have the end of the name always slightly changed if it's for female or male, so you kind of can have the same
so
name like Dominic, but if it's lady, it's Dominika. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the same name, but it's never
same in Poland.
So
Yeah, so so pretty excited. I must say I'm doing pretty well. So that's why the training and everything. I think it just went pretty smooth. Going back to that subject.
So all your training was like kind of CrossFit based, multiple movements, some rounds.
I mean, a little bit of bodybuilding. I like this.
Okay.
I like this kind of stuff. I like to, have a massive pump. I think is amazing. I like strongman movements, so carrying and moving odd objects. So I really miss the sandbag. I can't.
Yeah, you
carry
can't do sandbags now.
Yeah. So I miss that part a lot. The interesting part is I stopped pretty early Olympic weightlifting because the bar changed the path because of the belly. And I'm pretty, focused on the technique, and my anxiety is related to the cognition stuff. So anything, outside of the good training, I'm like, I'm not happy about that. Doesn't feel good. So I stopped that because it just doesn't feel right. And I rather, to put the Olympic lifting on the side for a few months rather than screw my technique and then, still going around the belly without the belly. So
Exactly. To be honest, the bar will always be there.
and the bar will always be there. So
Do you already have kind of post-labor training plan? Something you planning like, okay, so this is a kind of way I want to approach my recovery after?
definitely, first few weeks, trying to get back connection to the pelvic floor muscles. I have no idea how it's gonna feel after, so it's hard to write. It's hard to say how long it's gonna take to establish that. If my breathing pattern will change, if I'll need to re-establish that as well. So those are, the first things I want to focus on. But as I said, when it comes to the length of the period, I'm gonna, keep those small, simple things to do. It depends on the birth by itself and the how the body is gonna feel after. So it's really hard for me to say. And
But yeah, you said you don't, but you already know, right? Like first,
Yeah.
breathing, then making sure pelvic floor is working, and then taking it from there.
And then taking it from there. So, simple body weight stuff, but everything, at least, that's a plan on the paper, to just regain the good connection. And once I feel it's like, okay, I'm connecting to those body parts, which I'm a little bit start disconnecting right now. They're established, so that the relationship is there. I think I will only from there start, like any weights and
Decide the path.
yes. Yeah. So.
Okay, I blanked out now. I want to ask something. Never mind.
Yeah, so
you've mentioned a lot of information about training and understanding your body and what to do, what not to do, and stuff to avoid. Women who don't have this kind of knowledge or experience that you have,
mm-hmm.
do you think they can find such information online, or do you have to seek actually a personal trainer? What's your recommendation, basically?
It's a great question, because even me, I was with all the knowledge. I'm like, okay, let's check it out. What the internet says, and it says everything you are looking for.
Okay.
So whatever question will ask, you'll find the answer. You don't like the answer, you get another article, and the answer is gonna match your
needs.
So you can find absolutely any answer you're looking for.
Literally.
Very good.
Right? Of
Very
like,
good.
do not train, like do crunches, do not do crunches, lift heavy, don't lift heavy,
Don't lie on your back. Yeah.
Don't lie on your back, lie on your back, and you're like, oh my God. So it's very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly encourage girls who don't have this, like awareness, or are completely lost in the amount of information the internet provides right now. Just to, even, I don't want to say hire a coach, but have a consultation. If you have, it's same with like me going to a hospital. If I have concerns about the baby, I'm just gonna check with the hospital. Mm-hmm. If you have concerns about your training, go and check with the coach who has this kind of experience, right? And for me, it was important, like I did the pre and postnatal coaching course, because I'm like, okay, I do have pretty good body awareness, but for me, I need to have a little bit more knowledge. What are the actually physical changes? Mm-hmm. How it might gonna affect your training? Why is that? Is that dangerous? Is this something you need to be concerned about, or is it normal? And it was just, I just like to know stuff, and and I'm like, well, I'm getting for the pregnancy, so let's do this course as well, so I can put everything together. So it's not gonna be only the raw knowledge, but it's not gonna be just my own awareness, right?
Okay, so you have the theoretical course with your own strong experience,
yes,
all put together,
and it's not like I'm making myself expert in the field. Absolutely not.
It's just growing knowledge.
But I think it's just gaining knowledge and being able to explain the girls how the things should feel for her. So again, it will be starting from like gaining this awareness, being a little bit more present, because most of the like training programs for the pregnancy is just do this, do not do that, but it doesn't explain how you're supposed to do it and why. And that's that's the biggest thing when it comes to any type of training. It doesn't need to be post and prenatal, right? So because I understand a little bit of the breathing, I understand how like the breathing, the diaphragm works in the sync with the pelvic floor muscles. Also, like you are experiencing things like a back pain in your pregnancy. You can have a pain in your pelvic bone, and there are reasons for that. And if you have a knowledge about this, you can still work with that, knowing what's happening and how to move to not feel all of that. And usually, like me, I don't experience a lot of this kind of symptoms. A little bit of the tightness in the back, it's there. It's it's just related to changing the center of the gravity. The pelvis is more tilted forward, so it's like it start pulling on your hips. So it's
So the walking walking can change a lot?
So it depends on the person, because this wobbling style of walking.
I've seen a research going on university when I studied there, and they had these extremely expensive shoes that had like one shoe had 40,000 receptors or pressure receptors, and they were making pregnant mommies from week to week to walk on the treadmill for a couple of minutes, maybe 15 minutes. And they were taking a profile of a weight distribution. And the weight distribution is very different. So if there is already incorrect pattern in planting the foot, it can actually make it way worse.
Way worse.
When the weight is shifted even more forward.
I wanted to mention that because if you have any underlying issues before getting pregnant related to your feet, related to your pelvic floor muscles, to the breathing, you're gonna experience much more of this kind of pregnancy symptoms, because with the weight of the baby, your muscles are getting fatigued, and everything is, if your, for example, a walking movement pattern is a little bit off the balance, guess what? Like the weight of the baby, it's not going to help that. It's gonna actually expose to you that you had this kind of issue before, but because, you didn't stress yourself enough to feel it, now with the baby, you're going to feel it. So it's all about, having a good movement patterns established before to feel way better in the pregnancy. And this is what I focus for the last 3 years of my training, quality, sorting the things which are not working well and, addressing the cause of it. Why this is not connecting? Why do I feel pain here and there? And I think that's why it helped me a lot to feel so good in my pregnancy. I'm not saying I'm, like symptom free. I'm not like, there are some,
unicorns dancing on the
rainbow. There is discomfort, of course, here and there. But as I said, I can't complain because my focus was on the good quality movement pattern. So with, adding extra weight and now having the ligaments a little bit stretched and distributing the weight differently and all the posture changes and everything, it doesn't expose that much in my body because I had just a good baseline.
Out of all this experience and everything what you learned, have you had some other girls or ladies approaching you and you helping them?
Yeah, I didn't take officially any clients because that was my decision overall for the pregnancy, that I'm just going to keep, the same amount of clients I have.
Well, you cliented yourself.
But a few girls approach me. Mostly it's the coning thing. And usually, as I said, it's just tied into...
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so... The coning is happening because it's just the linea alba, so the soft tissue in between your abdominal walls, which is connecting, it start bulging, so it start like sticking out, so you're like, it's creating a cone. And it's, of course, it can be related to increased pressure in the abdominal area, but it can be also related to the wrong breathing pattern. So if you're breathing with your chest and you're concentrating everything in the four-pack area, so everything is gonna put an impact on this linea alba, so this
so it's
soft tissue.
Diastasis recti, right?
Yeah, so it's just a separation of so your abs
when the abs are basically spread apart. And the thing that is left in between is not a muscle. It's only a tendon, or is it tendon? No, it's not a tendon.
It's a fascia.
Yeah, there's a fascia, but there's okay, I can't recall this now. Anyway, it's a soft tissue, but it's not contractile like muscle. Okay, so you can have basically. It's actually happening also not only to pregnant ladies.
It's happening a lot.
It's basically your abdomen is pushing out and it's bulging.
It's just bulging, right? So and as I said, it's like it's usually tied into the breathing, or it's just too much of the pressure you're creating for the movement, which is sometimes not necessary, or sometimes it's just the movement, it's too much for you, it's too intense, it's, or you don't know how to engage the proper muscles for the movement, so you are using the different muscles, which is, for example, 4-pack.
So basically,
and that's why
regardless of the background
pressure.
reason, right?
Yes.
It's too much pressure here. It can be because of bad breathing pattern.
Yes.
It can be because of lack of tension in other abdominal muscles that are not helping to stabilize.
So you're putting all the tension in.
So all the tension is here on the under the solar plexus, the solar plexus, and that's causing it. Yeah.
There's there's a natural bulging happening because of course the abs are going on the side. Mm-hmm. And still you have organs inside, right? So, for example, if I go for the bear crawl or like a down dog, my organs are pressing on this tissue, right? And I can see it's coming out a little bit.
Just like pure gravity.
But that's pure gravity, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I wouldn't encourage girls, to stay in the down dog position for an hour and let those organs just, lie there and let the gravity works. But, if it doesn't feel bad for you or anything, that's just gravity working. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. I would be concerned about in any other kind of the physical movement, if the bulging is happening, we need to address what's happening, because diastasis, so going the abs separation, it's absolutely normal. You gotta fit this baby somehow, and I would not be concerned about that at all. It's normal.
Okay, but you need to work on it eventually.
You need to work on it eventually if it's, if the ab separation is pretty big and you're losing elasticity, because it's not about even the gap by itself. It's about the elasticity of the tissue by itself. You need to work on that. If you are losing elasticity, it's gonna be affecting, the abdominal pressure, the holding of the organs and everything. So it's, of course, the separation by itself, it's, if it's greater than the width of 3 fingers, you can check with the pelvic floor therapist and to work on that. But it's more about the elasticity by itself and just, rebuilding the connection to the proper muscles and breathing.
Cool. When you mentioned working, not working, so you were still coaching through the whole pregnancy? To this day?
I had my last client on last Friday.
Okay. So now you're just preparing, yeah?
Yes. Now I'm getting into more relaxing and just having all the energy for myself. And
but to that point, it was kind of that new adapted me time, but still pretty much normal schedule.
Yeah, I would say pretty much normal schedule. I had a couple of the evening clients which I stopped training with a little bit earlier because I'm just very, very tired in the evenings. And, if I cannot give them my focus, my energy, what's the point of coaching? That's not my style. I like to give my people focus. Absolutely. And the service they pay for, and this is when I'm also satisfied as a coach. And if I'm just struggling with keeping my eyes open, how the hell I'm gonna be focused on the person for 60 minutes? There's no way. There's no way. And I faking this kind of things. It makes me feel so anxious and so just not bad.
You just don't feel good about it.
You just don't feel good about it, and you don't feel good about, the coaching you're doing. And if I'm not satisfied with my coaching, I'm
no. What is the plan for you going back to coaching after? Are you taking a long time off, or you'll stop coaching completely after delivery?
I got a plan on the paper, as usual. So it's gonna, depends how life is gonna go and how the baby is gonna be and how I'm gonna recover from the birth. But the plan on the paper is to go back to some of the PTs, just PTs, after 2 months, if it's gonna go well, for a short period of time. Then to have a trip to Poland.
Sure.
And then fully going back to coaching. So probably taking some group classes and all my clients back from September. And if I'm not gonna feel that after 2 months I'm ready to go and give my energy and time to others, I'll probably just push it after I'll be back from Poland. So
Okay.
September.
And are you planning to eventually get a nanny? Or you will try to have a baby in the corner, do a PT?
I'm planning to have a nanny, which doesn't come easy because I can't imagine, first of all, having this baby yet. And then having
let's start
someone
there.
else to take care of this baby. There are you asking me about the things I have no idea about yet in reality on the paper.
We'll keep it for the next time.
Yes, on the paper, yes. So I'm planning to go back to coaching. This is what makes me feel fulfilled as well, and
Which is good for you, of course.
which I love doing my things. But let's see if I'm gonna fall in love in the motherhood and everything. Then who knows? But
Second, third, you'll just keep coming. Now you have the recipe. So.
Yes, now I have the recipe. No, but you probably know because you're a coach as well. It's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. So it's hard for me imagine not doing that because I know I can help. Now future moms, or hopefully when I go through the recovery that, the girls after birth. And I'm not saying only going back to the physical training, but help with, with the approach, with, creating right constraints to the training, with building an intent of the training so they can actually feel good. Because oftentimes girls, they just want to get their body back. They want to get their fitness back. And I'm like, you just added such a huge role into your life, right? Being a mom, it's a massive role. And you cannot think that adding this role is gonna have no impact on other roles, like you being a wife, you being an athlete, or whatever you want to call yourself, right?
Yeah, it's not like the baby is here now. I put it on the side and I'm going to train
and I
for
go
games,
back
right?
to have my body back and my training. For me, it doesn't work like that. You need to understand that we all having those small roles, right? And every single one has something in common, but also every single one is different. Like you as a coach is a little bit different than you as a partner. And then you as a partner is a little bit different than, you as a son, for example. All of those roles, at least, this is how it works in my head. They have something in common. It's still the same person, but every single one has a different role. So as I said, if you're gonna add a new role,
social expectation,
yes, and all of that. So if you add a role of being mom into that, or being a father, right? Because it's also the case. And you cannot expect you're gonna have everything back like it used to be, because you're not the same. Your life is not the same. There's something added into it.
And most likely, the role of mom, even the role of father, are probably the most important roles you have in life anyway. So, or at least I think that kind of is the priority at that moment, right? Exactly. Even though it's culturally different. So
it is. But as I said, it's like...
It should be with everyone, I guess. The responsibility of a new soul.
But you can see, I met clients like that, especially Arabic, right? That basically they delivered, but they are moms, but they have an army of people
Yeah.
doing stuff for them,
Behind
right?
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not motherhood. That's not motherhood. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I meant.
Yeah. Okay. Now I
Yeah.
get your point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they're pretty, they're pretty disconnected from themselves, from their body and everything, from their
Well, they're
families.
disconnected also from the kid, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not raising.
they're not raising the kids. So yeah, that's my life mission, to help others. And
That's very nice. Asha, all of what you said is just like mind-blowing journey, and heads down. Good luck with your labor,
thank you.
and we will definitely have you back anytime it will be feasible for you. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
But we need an extra seat though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll get the baby seat. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, the female body, it's absolutely an amazing, a creature of, I don't know who, but but it is. And I feel so much more respect now for, all the girls going through the pregnancy. And it's pretty cool to be a girl, honestly. I'm not a feminist, but
that's also a message. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
so
you.
welcome. Thank you for having me.